so excited to be here. But let's go ahead and start this training here by telling me what your wow moment is for this week. I want to know what your wow moment is. I want you to shout yourselves out. You are here. It is Tuesday night. We're just barely getting over Monday. It's the start of the week. We're all tired. It's late. Babies are in bed. They might still be running around screaming, but we're here, right? So shout yourself out. I want to know what your wow moment has been this month in October so far. Is it the boo buckets? Is it the Cinderella castles? Is it that drop yesterday that happened when the lid and the cardinal sold? I want to know what it is that you guys are excited about. Shout yourselves out. All right, I'm not seeing anybody shout themselves out, so y'all need to like participate. I also want to know if you can shout out your teamies. I want you to tag your teamies below. Tell me who has done an amazing job in your downline. It could be your downline, it could be your upline. If you don't have any teamies yet, I want you to shout out your uplines. I want people to hear what amazing things are happening in your Scentsy world, because we all have our own little pockets of Scentsy, but then here we are collectively as a larger group. I just want to hear all the good stuff that's happening. Shout people out, tag them, tag your people who have been doing something amazing, because they need to hear this message and they need to hear themselves get shouted out. All right, so a little bit about myself. My name is Jasmine Sandoval. I'm from Miami, Florida. Not originally. I'm originally from DC. But I am here as a brand new director. I just promoted last month, but here to give you guys a little bit of training over a superstar consultant and just how I got from the point of superstar to director. So a little bit about me. I know we've had a nurse, we've had a veteran, and then I'm just the best of both worlds, I guess. I'm a veteran and I'm a nurse, and I'm a nurse manager. And then on top of that, I have my MBA and I have my doctorate degree. And here I am selling Scentsy and hanging out with y'all in this beautiful place. So there is no bar, no difference between who I am versus anybody else's. We all start from the very same point of growing our own business, trying to learn and navigate Scentsy world, and trying to make something substantial of it. But when I first joined, just like many other people have mentioned, I joined because I wanted the discount. I joined under Ms. Courtney Reyes, who strong armed me a little bit. No, she was my sponsor, or is my sponsor, and when I started, I saw, if you guys have seen her. Everybody knows who Courtney is. Everybody knows her face and her beautiful hair. And I just have to say, when I started, it was because of her energy. Her energy was infectious. I left. I had just dissolved another business. 2 years ago, I dissolved another business that was doing an incredible job putting money in my bank, but it was not what was bringing me joy. So when I saw Courtney start with her Scentsy business and she was posting her link and asking everybody to support her, I said, hey girl, send me your link. Let me support you. And a couple $100s later, Courtney says, you can't keep buying Scentsy from me until you start having your own link. So we had a little discussion about what having my own link meant. And then I was like, you know what? That makes sense. If I get a 20% discount on all the stuff that I buy, you guys, I also say bad words sometimes. So I do apologize ahead of time. But if that comes out, it's just me being super passionate. But I wanted that link. I wanted that link so that I can have a 20% discount, because, if I can save 20% off of $100, that's 20 bucks right there. I've purchased a couple $100s at this point. So I joined under Courtney with zero intentions to start another business after having just dissolved one. And on top of that, if you guys all know Courtney, she is the queen of PRV. I mean, knocking out thousands of PRV a month. That's my sponsor. That's who I have to look up to. And for me coming in as a girl, I'm just here for the discount. Thousands and thousands of PRV. I had imposter syndrome. I wasn't here to try and sell like Courtney Reyes does. I was here to just do what Jasmine does and get a discount, because I'm the girl that likes to go straight to the back of the store and go to that clearance rack. That's me. That's just me. But I loved the products. I fell in love with the products, and it just became a very natural progression for me. So I start for the discount. Eventually, at this point, my kids are now 19 and 17 years old. So they were heading off to college, and I knew we needed to have a nice little safety net of college fund for my kids when they go off to college. My son, remember, I live in Florida. My son is currently in school in San Diego in California. So he likes to Uber Eats a lot too. Uber Eats gets quite expensive because they upcharge the food, and there's a delivery fee and a gas fee, and there's all these other little fees that you don't read about in the fine print. So I have to be able to pay for that. So going from only wanting a discount to now, okay, I need to support my boy in California with his Uber Eats. I needed to generate more income than just the discount that I was making off of Scentsy. So here I am now coming to you guys as a brand new director because that business just continued to grow over the last 2 years. And so I'll get into how it grew and everything. But all I know is I started understanding a little bit more about Scentsy World, and it was so much more than what everybody has to say about direct sales, all the bad stuff that people have out there with the bitter taste in their mouths when it comes to other direct sales companies. Scentsy was everything but that. I have learned so much more as a leader in Scentsy World than I ever could have and have as a nurse leader. I'm a nurse manager. I've been to many, many nursing conferences. I have presented at many different nursing conferences and have presented as a keynote speaker. And I will tell you that I have learned so much more leadership through people like Courtney Reyes, Chloe Cox, all of the SSDs out there who have YouTube channels, all of people in Scentsy World who, I mean, when our CEO is going live and doing end of the month, there was so much leadership and everything I've learned in Scentsy that I have, that's my alarm to go, to start, that I have learned and incorporated from my Scentsy business into my personal nursing leadership as my profession. So all I know is I realize that the people who are way up there in our upline are very normal. There's nothing special, more special about them than there is about me. And when I realized how normal people like Courtney Reyes selling 10K, Chloe Cox having a team of what, 5-figure team, 1,500, 1,600, 16,000 people you have on your team under your downline. I realized there's, Chloe's amazing, yes, but Chloe's Chloe, and Jasmine can be right there with Chloe one of these days. And when I started realizing just how normal everybody at the SSD level was, it became so much more tangible than just a discount. And that's what changed and shifted and was the catalyst of where my business is today. So when it came to leadership, I went to all of the trainings. If Courtney had a training, if she was live, I'm sitting at work. I've got my freaking earplugs in, you guys, and I'm listening. And I might be in another meeting and like not physically and actively, my brain's not there. My brain's listening to whoever is live on the phone. If Chloe's going live during the daytime and I'm on, I'm listening as well. So I went and absorbed everybody's knowledge and wisdom and took a piece of everyone and made my business to what it is today. From the very beginning, Chloe has always said, be duplicatable. Whatever you're doing, make it duplicatable. If you have to keep recreating your training packets every single time, then it becomes exhausting. And as a nurse leader, I know that too. I have a brand new nurse who's starting. I have an orientation packet. That orientation packet should be standardized and consistent from person to person to person. So because I put in the effort from the very beginning when it came to sponsoring my teammates, I knew that I needed to make something that was duplicatable and I can forward it to the same person over and over. My team was a team of 2 for a very long time. And those 2 people were family members. They were cousins that I strong armed so that I could get to where I needed to be. I earned Shooting Star. I earned Sensational Starts level 1, 2, and 3. And it was thanks to my 2 cousins who really made it work and get me to where I needed to with my leadership numbers, because they came in knowing what my agenda was in order to earn Sensational Starts level 1, 2, and 3, because I always tell everybody that I've ever trained, never leave money on the table. If you're leaving money on the table, then what are you doing here? What is the purpose of you being here? And if you joined for the discount, still don't leave money on the table. There's still an effort for you to put into trying to earn those different levels. But earning Shooting Star levels 1, 2, and 3 is not the end all be all. Just because you earned it or did not earn it does not make you any more successful or less successful than anybody else. So keep that in mind as well. But making my training duplicatable, I have an entire Canva packet that I have borrowed from different leaders of the different aspects of their training that they have in there. In there, I have my own personal links for my training, my introduction, the things they need to focus on. I also have Chloe's guide to growth links in there as well. And I do tell them, I forewarn them, they are about 5, 6, 7 videos, and each of them are over an hour long. But put that thing on speed and a half and start cleaning the house or do something. If you're busy, still just listen. You don't have to watch. Just listen to the training. And that's how I do my training. I always look into YouTube trainings, and I'm always listening on a car ride home, which drives my husband crazy because he thinks I'm watching YouTube as I'm driving, but I'm actually listening as if it's a podcast. That's really what I'm doing. So I train my teamies to do the same. So let's fast forward a little bit. I joined, it went from being a discount to actually like, oh, I'm making money and I'm actually bringing in some money. So I ended up graduating, promoting to superstar consultant. When did I do that? I did that in June of 2021. And we had, at that time, I think a team of 25-ish. It was a very strong team. All of my teamies were hustlers. They came in very strong. They were knocking out at least 1,000 to 2,000 PRV a piece, and they were doing tremendous. Fast forward a little bit, over the last 14 months from June of 2021 of hitting superstar consultants, only of 2 of those months I was ever paid at title. I came very close to getting paid at title most of those months. I would get to 5,000 plus GWV, but I would never hit that 6,000 mark because my teamies started to fall off. They started to fall off. But with that said, I earned annual mentor. I earned the incentive trip to Alaska that happened in July. And I fell short of director promotion November of last year by only 1,700 GWV. So that hurt and that stung a lot, but it just was not my time. And I could have walked away at that point. I was only a year in. It wasn't too, I didn't have the amount of inventory that I have now from hosting my parties, but I could have walked away at that time, but I didn't. And that is where resiliency and perseverance really kicks in, right? Because a lot of people will start having a bad month. Those J months hit, you have a J month come and it's a bad month, and they think that they are just no longer cut out for this. And that is the problem with some of the teamies that I've realized is, you're so used to instant gratification that when you finally get that one bad month, like that's like your end all be all, and you walk away from your entire business that you started building up the last 6 months. And so that was me. But I kept going. I kept pushing, right, Courtney? I kept on going. Okay, I had a bad month. I had a month that I had like 300 PRV because it was just that bad. That was a January month. But it is what it is. And it is what it is. I won't go into details. But I earned my incentive, which meant that I was doing something right. And I ended up earning annual mentor, which meant that I was doing something right as a leader. Now, when I went onto that incentive trip, I met so many amazing directors, star directors, and superstar directors, and they all took an interest in me. Number one, they asked me who my upline is. I mentioned Courtney Ray as being my sponsor, and I mentioned Chloe Cox being my upline. Everybody fangirls over Chloe Cox. I was like by secondary being fangirled over just because I was her downline. But when they heard that I was only a superstar consultant and sitting there on an Alaskan trip with them, it sparked some interest. They wanted to know what I was doing. Similar to why Chloe and Shay started this training with many people from different different ranks. There's uniqueness in what I was doing that they gravitated towards, that they needed to know so that they can train their teamies to be similar to me. And one of the best advice I got from that cruise, meeting different people, was there's a rule of thirds. And this probably doesn't stand true for everyone, but for my team, it really does. I told her at the time I had a team of 40. Of the 40, I probably had like 15 very strong key players, maybe 20 if I count a few that gets PRV on the board. She said to me, you're always going to have a third that's getting ready to quit. They are 1 foot out the door. They have zero interest anymore. Life has moved on for them. Life has happened for them. They're no longer interested. You're going to have a third who is somewhat interested, still kind of holding on, not quite ready to throw in the towel, but they're not sure what they want to do yet, if they want to continue this or if they want to move on. And then you have another third who are just going to be your hustlers, who are willing to put in the work, who's going to show up every day, who's going to be consistent, who's going to want to do this. And those are the third that you need to focus your energy on. That, you guys, changed everything for me. So another star director told me, you just have to start blessing them and then forgetting them. If you are blessing them and you've led the horse to the water, that's all you can do. The only thing left is what you can control. And what you can control is putting that energy into people who want to put forth the effort and who want to grow. That completely changed my perspective. In July, I came home. Mind you, I was away in the Pacific Northwest for a week, and then I was away in Alaska following that for that week. Those 2 weeks I was completely out, and I came home and I was paid at title because I worked my business so freaking hard that month, even on vacation for 2 weeks. So of the 2 weeks on vacation and 1 week really without any internet because I was in Alaska and on a cruise ship, I worked my business so hard because of all the things I was hearing and I was learning, and I'm absorbing all of this. When they say that you go to these leadership events, World Tour, SFR, and that's where leaders are made, you guys, leaders are also made on these incentive trips, because once you vacation Scentsy style, my God, I do not ever want to not vacation Scentsy style again. I am never gonna not, double negative, earn an incentive trip ever again. I'm going to earn every single one. And October 16th, I hit incentive level 1, and I'm going to nail level 2. I'm just not sure whether or not I'll get level 3, but I'm definitely going to have level 2, and hopefully I'll be able to pick where I get to go. Now, with that said, come home, my head's in the game. In July, this past July, I hit paid at title, and then I sit in a leadership call where, Chloe and Justin are leading it. And I swear to you, Justin was speaking right to me, and he doesn't even know I existed at the time. He said that there are so many of you on this call who has hit annual mentor because you're so good at getting your people to certified and hitting that 1,000 lifetime PRV, but most of you have very little to zero lead consultants under you. Y'all, I almost died. I was sitting there going, Justin Cox is talking right to me. He just called my ass out in this training. And I swear to you, like, that made a difference, because that was what it is. I hit annual mentor. So what is that? 14 people who at least hit 1,000. But of those 14 people, I believe maybe two went on to be lead consultants, and then one of them a star consultant. So that meant that I initiated making my leaders, my teamies leaders, but I didn't follow through, and I didn't know how to follow through. And being told, as if he was talking to me directly, being told that by Justin was what shifted my mindset even more. So now not only am I hungry, I want to be a better leader, because if I can only get them to certified, then that's like getting them to kindergarten and then saying, yay, you passed kindergarten, congratulations, now you failed school. Like, no, I want them to be successful. So reinvigorated, here I am. And I got my head really in the game. August, I was paid at title again. And then September, I promoted to director. And the reason why I ended up doing that was because I created focus groups. I took each of my team members and my downline who showed some hustle. I took each of them and I put them into small focus groups. I made a group for certified, people who are going to hit certified. I made a group for people who are going to hit lead. I made a group for people who are going to hit star. And then I have my one Lizzie who's sitting in superstar right now, who's going to hit superstar. And so I made a focus group for each of them so that they all had each other, because it's always more fun to do things together. When you're all alone, you don't have that perspective that somebody else is doing the same thing as you, and you think it's the end of the world. And so what I needed to do was let them know that there is a group of you all in this together, and you can all get this. And at one point or another, you're going to hit this when you're in this group. So I created focus groups. Every single day, I created a challenge, and I challenged them to do whatever it is that was income producing, that was sponsorship producing, that was relationship creating. And so those were really important to me. And then teaching them and reminding them to get their pretty faces on a live, on a picture, because without that, you need to shake up that Facebook algorithm. You need to shake up that social media algorithm. And so I needed them to shake that up, because what happens is I get a message, Jasmine, I'm doing this, this, and that in my VIP group. Nobody's responding. Nobody's liking anything anymore. And I say, A, people aren't seeing it anymore because that algorithm is a mofo. B, you haven't showed your face in a little while. When's the last time you went live? When's the last time you jumped on there and told them what your why is? They're like, but I did my why already 6 months ago when I joined. Well, yeah, but 6 months ago was 6 months ago of different people. Now you have different people that you're trying to cater to. So go live again. Go live as often as you can. So really starting to train my teamies in those focus groups what to do. I still run my group page. My group page still has very generalized, broad information, but in those focus groups, I'm shouting them out like crazy. I'm saying, you know, Lizzie, you're halfway to superstar consultant promotion. I'll say, Jessica, you're only 200 PRV away from certified and earning that 5% lifetime pay raise. And so when they start seeing in those focus groups one another are doing so well, they all just get hyped up a little bit more for themselves to do even better. I have to be very cognizant though, and she's on here watching, is to make sure that I don't pitch anybody against the other. So I have to be very cognizant of making sure it's not a battle against each other, but it's a group effort, and that each of them should be happy for one another as they're promoting. So what happens when they promote? If you promote, I will congratulate you in the current group that you're in. So for example, when Brooklyn, who's not even my front line, she's my downline, when she promoted to lead, I took her out of lead. I congratulated her in lead. I said, congratulations, Brooklyn, you have promoted to lead. I will be removing you from this group and adding you to the next group. And then I took her out of that group. Everybody congratulated her. I gave her her moment, and then I took her out of that group and added her into the next group. Same thing with my girl Gabrielle, who just recently promoted. And each time that I do that, the other people left in the group gets a chance to congratulate their peer who just did that, who just, you know, earned it and did the ish. And then they now like, okay, I want to be the next one. So try not to pit them against each other. Be very cognizant of that. People are very sensitive to that. So when I was approached about that, I made sure that I was very mindful of it. But creating those focus groups was key. And I know I'm focusing a lot on the sponsorship of things, but I think this is where your business starts to grow and bloom. And this is what's incredibly important, because we've had tremendous people on here talking about front loading. Courtney had spoken about front loading and how she gets her PRV. We've had a lot of great PRV suggestions. And I think at this point, it's really important to also hear the other side of it that makes your business very successful, which is growing your team. So I ended up getting promoted last month in September, and then this month by 10/16, through the grace of the powers that be, I was paid at title by 10/16. So, you know, I am proof that once you pivot and you get your head in the game and you start to let those little catalysts around you insert themselves into your business, that you are going to be able to succeed. Once I realized what I was doing wrong, I didn't take offense to it. I took note of it, and then I changed and shifted what I needed to do to help grow my team members. Because it's not just about you when you get to this stage in your business, it's about how you can grow your entire team, because all of that feeds up to you. So it's not for selfish reasons either. I have very good relationships, and I hope my girls can speak to that on here, but girls and guys. But I have very great relationships with all of my people. You know, when you join my team, you're joining my family, you know, and you're an extension of my family, and we all know about each other. They know what's going on with my kids. I know what's going on with theirs. I know what's going on in their life. They are not just a number to me. I'm very, very personal about that. And the same thing goes for my customers. Everybody is part of my family. And, you know, if you're supporting me, whether you're supporting my business as a customer or supporting my business as a teamie, you are there, and we are one. We are one. So, adopting. Okay, so training versus goal setting. One of the star directors that I met on the cruise ship actually adopted me onto her team, and to help me shift the way that I was thinking of how I was training my teamies. And what she invited me to one of her trainings, and she calls them power hours. And during her power hour, I was very amazed because I come from an academia background. I'm also a professor at the university, so I'm used to just regurgitating topics and facts and telling people how to do, how to learn, the key little things that you can learn and remember so that you can pass that exam or your boards. So what she did during her power hour as an elementary school teacher was she had everybody, she went around the table in a Zoom format and had everybody tell them what their three top goals were for the week. And those three top goals, the following week, she comes back, she writes them all down. She comes back the following week and she goes, your goal was to get another 400 PRV by the time you came back again this week. Did you hit that? And so she makes them speak to their goals. And in a very endearing way. There is nothing chastising about the way she runs her group, but that really changed it for me, is realizing that I am so busy teach, and I have never once asked them for their input. So by incorporating what she was doing with her team, I realized my team would benefit from that as well. So my teams are now learning to create their own goals. So I'm not just telling them, you need to hit lead or you need to hit superstar. I'm asking them, what does it take for you to hit that? Now I'm actually, it's like parenting, right? If you have children, you'll understand. Instead of telling them all the answers, you want them to kind of work through it and figure out what the answers are. And so that's what's going on in these groups and the training that we're doing. So we do Money Honey Mondays. I've missed this week because of the training here yesterday. Obviously, we were here to support Jen. And then last week I missed it for some reason. I don't remember what it was, but we missed it last week. But Money Honey Mondays, the purpose of it now is to go around the table and talk about what our goals are, because my goals might be very similar to what my lead consultant's goals are. And it's mind-blowing to them when they hear what my goals are and they realize we have similar goals. Like, it's not this big magical, unreachable, unobtainable goal. So that has been golden for us. That has been really golden for us, for my team to really start to realize that. And then, like what Jen was saying yesterday, small mini goals. Always have your small mini goals, because each week when we're meeting, these small mini goals build up to their entire October goal, and they don't even realize it. I don't even realize it sometimes. But chopping them up into these tiny little weekly goals builds up to the bigger goal. And as long as they keep trying, okay, well, if you didn't hit 400 PRV, what are you going to do next week to try and catch up? Or how are you going to pivot your numbers? And just like with incentives, if you didn't hit your monthly incentive goal, what are you going to do next month to pivot and make that shift and change? Alrighty, so another thing that was said during our Chloe and Justin training was to find the next you and the future directors. When I heard that really also that I needed to hear that. Find the next you. So I stopped pouring into those ones that I kept going, what am I not doing right with them? Why do they not want to run their business? I poured into the ones who wanted to run their business, the ones who were making effort, the ones who were taking my feedback and using it and running with it. So pouring into them, finding the next me is incredibly important. And all of my teamies found me, the majority of them, like 99.9% of them, found me on YouTube. Because I hit record. I talked about my join specials. I've talked about the Earn a Kit specials. I made it possible for people to actually start a Scentsy business who had been thinking about it. So every single one of my team members, I just got my first Miami team member last month, which is actually a former co-worker of mine, because her life changed and she's been watching me in the background, never engaging, never on top of my VIP list asking this or that. She just purchased occasionally. And then when her life changed and she needed an extra source of income, she came to me because I was consistent. But aside from that, she was a personal recruit, other than the cousins I mentioned earlier that I strong-armed at the beginning. Everybody else is completely from a different part of the country, not just states. But I have one teamie that's in Alaska. I have a couple teamies that's in Guam. I have teamies all over the place. And what makes it so beautiful when you have teamies all over the place is that we don't have the same set of friends. And that's why I keep them in my VIP group. And I tell them, you can come into my VIP group. You can steal anything you want to steal off of my post. Just don't steal my customers. And I make that very clear from the very beginning. Don't steal my customers because they will rat on you. And you can steal my posts all day long because we don't have the same set of friends. And I don't want you to have to overthink this. Just take what I have and run with it. Make it your own. Twist the words a little bit so it sounds like you and run with it. Resources. Use all your resources around you. You guys don't be afraid to tap into YouTube. You guys don't always have to stay fixed to just our upline. Feel free to navigate and find different people who are doing different types of parties, flower parties, bag parties, pouch parties, live parties, bingo parties. There's so many different people who do them different ways, and everybody is successful in their own way. And something that works for one person doesn't work for another. So make sure you use your resources and look and see who is doing something incredibly well, because you never know. I cannot sell a themed box for nothing. I sold 2 boo buckets, which I am very proud of. But one of my girls in Alaska ended up selling 9 of them. So, I'm like, well, then maybe that's your thing. That's your niche. Start looking at what Courtney's doing. Courtney Reyes sells theme buckets all the time. So start looking for people who have similar strategies as yours when it comes to running your business, and then roll with it. Keep going with it, and then share that. Bring that back to the group and share what you're doing. That's another thing I did, was I asked my team members to start sharing. I don't want to be the only person constantly putting stuff on our group page. I want all of them to feel empowered to do the same. You made a Canva edit, share it, share the template. You did something really awesome, share it. You had a conversation, share it. You bumped into somebody at the supermarket because you had a buddy clip on your handbag, share it, because what you just did right there is something somebody else can take and run with too. So share and be a team player, and not just be in it for yourself, but be in it for everybody to be successful, because we don't have the same group of friends. We're not all from the same city. We all live in different places, and fortunately that works for us. So I'm going to leave you with this as I'm wrapping this up, so you guys can have a potty break between me and the next speaker. Is, my quote that I learned a while back is 9 to 5 is when you work your job. That is very true for me with my other profession. But for many of you who work your Scentsy job, it's also a 9 to 5 job for you. 9 to 5 is when you work your job. 5 to 11 p.m., 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. is when you work your dream. So don't just stop there at your job. Keep working into your dream. And that's why I hustle so hard. I hustle hard because I have a dream. I don't necessarily want to retire at the age of 50, but I want to have the option to retire at the age of 50. I want to have that power in my own control to be able to retire whenever I want to. And I think Scentsy is going to be the vessel that takes me there. All right, guys. Thank you.